Alright, hello again. This is going to be the fourth Andrew Tate video, and hopefully the last one. Hopefully the last one in terms of actually laying out my case for what I think how Christians should respond to him. That's what this series of 4 videos has been, or at least as I have intended it to be. The last one, I thought I ended it a little bit too harshly. It was 40 minutes and I was kind of just done. And coming off the back of everything that we talked about, it was kind of like, yeah, I've had enough. I think I've made my case and I can just say what I think. But I need to backtrack, I think, and go through some more things and to clarify a bit of why I'm saying what I am saying and why I'm not saying what I'm saying. At the end of the last video, I basically said just stop listening to Andrew Tate. There's no reason to. And I need to clarify why I think that. Number one, you don't need Andrew Tate. You really don't. None of the people online, even if they're good, solid Christian theologians, like you'll have more of a connection with them through the Holy Spirit and through prayer than you will with anybody else. But even them, you have no real personal connection to. The relationships that God has intended for you, that you can be sure of, are the ones that He's put around you. So get involved in a local church, rely on pastors in your local area, actually have face-to-face conversations with people that you know. It's far better than having online conversations, one-way receiving conversations, really, where somebody's monologuing to you, because that's what online is. You aren't responding unless you're on a social media platform or talking in the comments, and even then it's seldom. And it's not as personal connections either. You don't really know the other person, you don't see their lifestyle as much. And in a local church environment, in a local community, family context, you actually have that. So if you're listening to anybody online more than you are talking to people actually in real life, I'd say that's an issue. And you should think about why that is and if you can change that. Especially if you have a good family. You're not talking to your dad or your mom, and why is that? And that's something that you should think about and pray through, and really talk to people around you that God's placed there for you to help you. Now, that's not to say that the internet is not a place that you want to go to listen to other voices at all. I'm not saying that. You should be engaged with culture. You should be knowledgeable about what's going on. That's why I've made this series. I want parents, students, whoever you are, to be able to know what is going on in the culture, what voices are out there, and help them kind of be informed and think through from a Christian perspective how you're supposed to respond to this, and specifically in this video series, Andrew Tate. Yeah, I think as Christians, there's an approach to a lot of media that Christians take, and that's like the Jesus as a sort of Superman approach, where when the Superman movies come out, there's always a contingent of Christians who come out and say, ooh, Superman's like Jesus in this way. They'll compare Superman, or qualities of Superman, to Jesus. Other Christian movie reviewers will, or just any content reviewers will go, well, yes, it's a secular movie, it doesn't advocate for Christian values, or it doesn't support the idea of God, or however you want to put that. Yeah, all that's a given. But there are some of these good redeeming qualities that we could say, oh, that's Jesus-like, that's Christ-like. And I feel no need to do that. There's a sense of like you have to redeem every bit of media. Like you've got to impress. Oh, yeah, but this character has this Jesus quality, or this character has this Jesus quality, or these characters are an analogy between God and the devil in that conflict. And I just don't feel a need for doing that, especially not with Superman. Let Jesus be Jesus, please. Like, stop comparing the Force in Star Wars to the Spirit, or Superman to Jesus, or anything like that. I think that applies also here. There are two different attitudes to Andrew Tate that you can take. One is just to completely dismiss him. Well, there are several different attitudes. One is to completely dismiss him, which I'm not saying we should do. The other one is to say, we've got to find the good. We've got to, defend what he's saying. We want to take a position, a defensive position around him because he's saying some good things that are in contradiction to what the majority culture is saying. So men are actually good. Well, yeah, that's true. But other voices are saying that as well, and you don't need to take Andrew Tate's definitions and defend Andrew Tate directly. You can say, yeah, I think I agree with that. I might mean something different than what he says when he says men are good and they're necessary, or whatever the framing is. But yeah, I think that's a lot better than saying what the culture says, which is basically men aren't needed anymore. We talked about that in the first video. So yeah, I hope that clarifies a bit as well. And again, I am 100%. We should be saying no. We don't support cancellation as Christians. We don't support digital execution, as Carl and Callum talked about it in the second video. We don't support that. We support the biblical way of justice, which is you get to meet your accusers. You don't get kicked off of every social media platform and unable to meet your accusers and respond. Even if you are accused of trafficking or any number of things that Andrew Tate has either admitted to or that he's being accused of. That's not a Christian way to respond to these things. It doesn't work. It's not good. It's why the culture is in a huge downward spiral. It's one of the driving factors that people are canceled, and then it just leads to quote unquote more polarization. It just makes everybody more aggravated and extreme. And yeah, it's not good, especially when you have a charismatic character like Andrew Tate is. So what I intend to do now is to really emphasize that content matters, because what I think some people might think is that I'm just saying, just don't listen to Andrew Tate, don't engage with him, just completely just shut him off. And I don't necessarily mean that. I don't think it's inherently evil or inherently a bad thing to listen to Andrew Tate. My position is that there are a lot of other really good people out there that you can listen from. One is Owen Strachan. You can see on the screen here. I've got a review of his pulled up from the movie Tombstone. Highly recommend it. Great movie. And Owen has written this review on his Substack/podcast, Grace and Truth. It's entitled Say When, on friendship, death, and the meaning of Doc Holliday in Tombstone. And just really good. I would encourage you to go and find, Owen Strachan and his stuff. You can find him on Twitter, Facebook, other places as well. But he just does a good job, and when his approach to content isn't like, oh, we need to redeem. We need to figure out what's the image of God in these things. He's just very down to earth, very, okay, let's look at this movie and let's see, God's common grace at work in how these characters are being portrayed, how the story of the movie is, how it goes, what's good about it, what's bad about it, what are the lessons that we can draw from it. And he doesn't feel the need to say, oh, this character is like Jesus in these ways, and not even that, but this is the gospel message in the movie Tombstone. It's just looking at a movie from a Christian perspective and thinking through it, which I think is how we should think about those things. I don't see in the Bible a mandate to redeem everything. In fact, I see in the Bible reasons for responding to culture in a real grounded way that says these things are bad, these things are good. We're distinctively Christian, and we're gonna be unique in that. And I think, take for example Barbie. Maybe this will help clarify what I'm trying to get at here. Barbie. So people took all different positions on that movie. It was amazing. I still haven't seen it. I don't want to. And part of the reason is because the directors intended it to be a slap in the face to the family as God designed it, to the nuclear family, and to men in particular. It's the directors, producers, whatever. I think it's the directors. Just openly said before and after the movie, this is a feminist movie and it's against men. And the funny thing is, you had a whole bunch of Christians and conservatives coming out and saying, "Oh, it's a movie on our side." And I wanted to say, well, no, like the producers intended it not to be on your side. Whatever you make out of the content, well, that's fine. That's your perspective. Great. For those, make the arguments you want to. Fine, but that is not your movie. that movie is not arguing for what you think it is. It may be betraying some of what it's actually saying, and it's stupid and ridiculous. But it's not advocating for your principles. The entire framework, everything that it's built on, the entire movie is arguing their point, not yours. And it's the producers who made it. If we're going to care about authorial intent, we need to apply that across the board as Christians. The author's intent is not what you intend. You may say, oh, well, it's the definition of this movie or of this word means this, when somebody who's using that word, has been using that word, means something completely different. And the question is, okay, is your perception of the movie going to win out, or is their intended meaning going to win out? And so that's why I kind of want to talk about this. Content matters. Andrew Tate's message, is it really that good? Is it really as close to Christianity as we might think? And I'll just be honest, I don't think it is. I think it's pretty far away from where Christianity is. And again, when we approach media, and this is another thing I don't think I clarified enough in the last one. Christians approach media. When we do that, I would say listen to Jordan Peterson more than I would suggest you to listen to Andrew Tate. One of the reasons is Jordan Peterson just seems more honest. He seems more real. I've thought that since the beginning. Andrew Tate doesn't strike me as that. Andrew Tate is aggressive. His language is really, really bad. And a lot of his views, I think a lot of his views are just bad in general. Whereas Jordan's, obviously, Jordan's you can kind of see through it a bit more easily. Like he'll talk about the Bible in his series on Genesis. Like if you have any grounding in the book of Genesis before that's biblical and faithful and Protestant or Reformed, you're looking at his Genesis series and going, ooh, you really don't understand this. And yeah, there are some cool things that he draws out of it, but you're not going, oh, that's good exegesis. You're going, he's bringing his psychological background and interpreting Genesis on that. And he says, he's not a Christian. He makes that very clear. And he explains why he's not a Christian. And it's far more engageable in that way. Whereas Andrew Tate is not somebody who's easily engaged with in the culture. And that's why I wanted to attempt these videos. I didn't even know if they were going to be any good. I still really don't know. I've received some encouragement from people who say, yeah, it's been useful. So that's why I'm making the fourth one as well. But yeah, that's kind of rambling. But I want to jump into a video here of just some clips that people have made. And this it's going to be 4 minutes. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but I just want to take 4 minutes, watch this. It's taken from a podcast that he's done. It's turned into a motivational speech. You're not good enough. Motivational speech by Andrew Tate from the YouTube channel Healthy Mindset. I just want to watch it, and for those who aren't familiar with Andrew Tate, or just think about what would happen if you didn't have all the background that you do from the past 3 videos. Or especially from the past video, and you just heard this in the context of our culture. I think our attitude would be a little bit different if it was our first encounter. Knowing what he means, what the definitions of what he's going after, the kind of man that he really wants behind the words, it changes that. It's no longer the message that you first thought it was. But so let's just go through this, and I want to talk about what I think he's actually meaning. The kind of man that he says he's for, and the kind of man that I think Christianity, the kind of men that godly men should be. We'll put it that way. So godly men versus Andrew Tate's definition of what a man ought to be. So yeah, let's just play it and see how it goes. Again, I can't go full screen because whenever I do the game bar, which is Windows 10 application for recording your screen, it goes off. So apologies for that.
Women are a fantastic side effect to unlimited success.
Okay, great. way to start. Women are fantastic. Side effect to great success. That's wonderful framing there, Andrew. They, yeah, I won't pause this all the time, but I just thought that was a funny way to start this video. Yeah, well, you've seen the other videos, you kind of know a little bit about my opinion about those things. It's pretty bad framing, but let's continue.
It's very difficult to do everything right all the time in all realms and be extremely successful in all the realms a man should be successful and then still end up lonely. I think that's almost impossible, I would argue.
Yeah.
It's basically almost impossible. Like, I have to try very hard to Aikido chicks away from me. It's not the opposite. And you also have to understand, man, I say this to people all the time, and people laugh when I say it. I say, if you're watching this podcast as a man, when this finishes, when you've done the push-ups Tiggs told you to do, go look in the mirror and ask yourself a very simple question. If I was a girl, would I sleep with me? And the answer is probably no. Whose fault is that? Yep. You, because she has all...
Okay, again, this is a worldly perspective. He's saying, okay, what are the categories of success? Vodi Bakum, he has a great bit on this. He says, success for the man is the billfold, the ballpark. I think it's ballpark. It's an American context. So basically athletics, how much money you make, and who you get to sleep with. The bedroom, the billfold, and the ballpark, I think, is what he talks about. And that's how men in the world measure success. That's not at all the way God measures success. God measures success in godliness, faithfulness, patience, self-control, those virtues. And you can read about that in Titus 1 is a great example of that. In fact, I think that's when that's a passage Vodi Bakum was preaching on when he said that, when I first heard it. He said it in books as well. He's got a great little book titled What He Must Be If He Wants to Marry My Daughter. Yeah, that's a long read. Can get kind of boring at times, but it's a good read. There's some good content in there. So yeah, Vodi Bakum says that that's the way worldly people measure success, not the way God measures success. This is a worldly perspective. Another thing I should say before we go into the video much longer, especially when I get up to here, I said that these videos were a hard R. I realized that people in the UK might not know what that means. So in America, an R rating is for a movie. And basically, when I say that, I mean if you aren't already exposed to Andrew Tate or deep dive into him, or if you aren't parents with kids who are exposed to Andrew Tate and learning from him, just don't bother. It's not worth it. Just the images that I haven't had really bad images, but they are out there. I've gotten rid of as many of those as I can for these videos, but the language, of course, is bad, and I can't do anything about that. But I've done what I can. So going through this just as a warning, content warning. Okay, let's continue and do it. Well, on that, like this is so beyond what he's aiming for. The success, quote unquote, that he's aiming for is a worldly goal. But I mean, he's saying, hey, if there's a problem in your life, if you aren't being successful in the way that you want to be, hey, maybe the problem's with you. Maybe the problem's not with other people, which in our culture isn't something that's emphasized. That's a good thing, I think. Saying that if there's a problem in your life, maybe it's with you. Maybe that should be your first reaction. Maybe it's you.
She has all the choices in the world. She can choose anybody she wants. Why would she choose you? Are you really that funny and interesting and unique? Are your life stories really that cool? Tell me something you've done that no other man's ever done. Tell me something about you that's genuinely unique. And this is where a lot of my message gets confused, and especially MSM and everyone who attacks me and all this garbage. I've been told like I talk quite pessimistically. But I try and explain to men, if you want to stand out, if you want to be different, if you want to be the kind of man who can talk about himself in a way and be discussed by females in a way that other men can't be discussed, you need to go through some bullshit. You're never going to become interesting and unique and the kind of man that can't be replicated through all the happy things in your life. You can't just go to the fucking circus and eat popcorn and come out and be a G. You're a G when you've suffered. That's the reality of it. Every single man you meet who people respect, both men and women, usually has a story that makes you think, ooh, I wouldn't want to be that guy. Ouch, that would have hurt. Yep. That was difficult. And so when you tell me something like, oh, I lost 115 grand in crypto, I actually think that's a very soft story. Fine. But What have you at least learned from that? Can you at least tell the story in a compendious and interesting way? Can you even sit down and tell somebody that story in a way which is engaging enough for them to listen to you? Do you at least?
Right, okay, so basically he's saying what makes you a quality, I'll say a masculine quality man, is that you have gone through suffering and that you've come out the other side a far better person than you were at the start. Now, is that something that people should aim for? Is that something that men should aspire to? That even if you go through a lot of suffering, you're going to come out better on the other side for it. As Christians, we would say more godly, more Christ-like, more self-controlled, more patient, more kind, more caring, more merciful, more gracious, stronger, more able to care for your family and your friends. Right? I think that's a great message. Like, when you go through suffering, you want to come out better on the other side for it. I don't think that's disputable. However, I do think, well, I want to say this now. I think I'll wait. Let's keep on playing the video and see how it goes. Now, again, in context, in a world that says you shouldn't have to go through suffering, the road should be golden paved just for you. You should be able to lie down on velvet pillows all your life. You deserve that. That's a basic human right, that you go through as the least amount of suffering as possible. That's what the culture more broadly pushes, the mainstream culture. And not what Andrew Tate is saying. He's going against that grain.
At least have a joke out of it. Most men can't even tell a story in a funny way, bro. Something will happen to them. They can't even repeat it in a way they don't want to listen to. What was the point of losing your money if you can't even tell anybody around the fucking table with some drinks and be fun about it? So what's the lessons here? You're boring?
Yeah, a thing that he emphasizes over and over and over again is like the ability to speak well. He says that's an important characteristic, and if you can speak really, really well, then you've got an in. Like, you're going to be fine. If you can communicate with people, and if you have something worth communicating, you'll do fine. Again, valuable. That's true. Communication is key. It's an important thing. I don't think anybody would dispute that. So anyway, yeah, let's keep on going.
You can't talk. You're a dork. Those are the first 3 lessons you need to fix. Next is, why is that all the money you got? You're broke. How did it happen? You're stupid. You have a whole bunch of lessons you need to internalize, and that event could be the best event that ever happened to you to change you as a man to become the kind of person who doesn't give a shit about $115,000.
Your life is easy.
So God gives you these chances to suffer so you can level up your character. But I'll often tell you, most of you people at home which are complaining that your life is difficult, I'll actually argue that most of your lives are too easy.
Okay, so this is something that he just said. God gives you these things, these opportunities to suffer, so he levels up your character. Okay, so first of all, he does not mean God the way Christians mean God. When Christians say God, they say that he's the triune God, the only God, distinct from Allah. He's loving, he's gracious, he's kind, he's the creator of all things, he's Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, eternal, non-created. Jesus became incarnate, died for sins, lived the life that we should have lived, died the death that we should die but couldn't to save ourselves. And that's the Christian message. And one day Jesus is going to come back and set all things right as a warrior king. That's the Christian message. That is not at all what he means. Okay, so the idea, and I think this is before he quote-unquote converted to Islam, which I don't think he actually did. I think he's just saying that he's Islamic now because he likes the idea of a single-person dictatorial God. And you can find on my blog, I have a post entitled Allah's Glory According to the Quran. It's the second in my series, God's Flaming Glory, and you can find that again on my blog. And you can kind of explore what I mean when I say dictatorial. Andrew Tate probably likes the idea of a dictatorial God. So the second thing that he said right there that is important to note is suffering. God gives you suffering as a means to level up. Yeah, yes and no. God does not give you suffering so that you're better reliant on yourself. He gives you suffering so that you're more reliant on Him. You trust Him more. You learn to depend on Him more. That you can't get through it by yourself and you need Him. You need communion with Him. You need His instruction through Scripture. You need life in Jesus. Okay, so read James 1. I'm going to come out and hopefully in like a month's time with some content on James. You can keep your eye out for that. But that's not exactly the way Christians frame the idea of suffering. Suffering isn't given by God so that you can level yourself up. It's given so that you trust God more, so that you become, yes, more steadfast, but more steadfast primarily in faith, in trusting God and knowing that He's a good and great God, that He's gracious, and that He's going to take care of you as His child, even if that involves a lot of suffering. He's going to accomplish His purpose, which is to make you more Christ-like. Okay, let's continue.
Even though that God gives you these chances to level up and God gives you these difficulties, most of you, 99% of you, need to adopt more difficulty yourselves. I mean, you need to wake up and find more struggle yourself if you truly want to be a fierce competitor.
You got to find pain.
And this is where, again, it goes back to leveling up your character and your network and who you are as a man. You had that money in the bank, your bills were obviously paid. Did you at least use that time to become fearsome? Did you at least use that time to become the kind of man who can wear a normal ass t-shirt but still look like Hercules? Because if you didn't, then you wasted the money anyway. That's the kind of thing you should have been doing as bare minimum standard. That's bare minimum.
You have to become the man. There is no hack. There is no cheat.
And then speak without speaking. I can meet somebody without saying a word, and within the first 3 seconds, I know if he's a bitch or not. Everybody knows this is how men operate. We instantly can analyze somebody and see if they have value or not. It's something that's almost instinctual that you can't explain. So the easiest way, I have a lot of people ask me, hey, how do I come across as high value? Be high value? How about that? That's the easiest way to do it. Why are you trying to fake? Why are you trying to lie? This is what's truly amazing about the masculine experience. I have so many people message me, and I get thousands of emails a day, and people are always looking for this hack or this cheat or this quick way to achieve something. You have to just become the man. There's no other way to really do a lot of things. But I guarantee if I were, your dad doesn't even know me, but I guarantee if I were to speak to him for 10 minutes, because of the way I would articulate myself, because of the way I would express my opinion, because of who I am, because of my physicality, because of the car I turn up in, he'd probably be more likely to listen to me than you, his own son. Why? That's your fault. And that's something you've decided to be. It's a decision you've decided to make. And
okay. Again, seeking suffering out, seeking hardship out. Again, why? What's the background motivation? And let me just go back a second and play something.
Value. Be high value. How about that? That's the easiest way to do it. Why are you trying to fake? Why are you trying to lie?
Okay, be high value. Don't try to fake. Don't try to lie. Now again, his measurements of that is, ooh, cool car. I'm physically impressive. I've got a lot riding for me in terms of my charisma. That's his measure. Like, it's about him. He is self-reliant in every way. Again, not Christian. This is not the Christian perspective. Now, is it important to, well, again, just...
Why? This is what's truly amazing about the masculine experience. I have so many people message me, and I get thousands of emails a day, and people are always looking for this hack or this cheat or this quick way to achieve something. You have to just become the man. There's no other way.
Just become the man. Okay, so now this is something that is important, because there are a lot of men, a lot of males who are always waiting. They never really achieve that kind of, I'm a man on my own, I'm providing for myself, I can provide for a family if the Lord is gracious enough to give me that. There are some men that just wait their entire lives, and they're waiting. They don't take it, they don't work for it. They're just waiting for the right time, the right woman to come along, the right moment to start a family, all of these things. And they never achieve it. And so you get these 30-year-olds who are living in their parents' basement. And this happens for people in the church all the time as well. And it's not good. And so again, Tate's message is not altogether unfounded. The problem is, well, what does he mean by becoming a powerful man, let's say? Becoming a man, not using cheat codes, but actually achieving it. Again, the measurement is the billfold, the ballpark, and the bedroom. That's his measurement. That's not the biblical measurement.
To really do a lot of things, but I guarantee if I were, your dad doesn't even know me, but I guarantee if I were to speak to him for 10 minutes, because of the way I would articulate myself, because of the way I would express my opinion, because of who I am, because of my physicality, because of the car I turn up in, he'd probably be more likely to listen to me than you, his own son. Why? That's your fault. And that's something you've decided to be. It's a decision you've decided to make. And this is what I don't understand. I truly don't understand how most men don't wake up and think, shit, I'm not good enough. And I think you need that degree of insecurity, I guess, and anxiety that's going to propel you towards the top, because there's always more work to do, and you're competing against people like us who are out here to destroy you, and that's the reality of the game. You have to take absolute and utter accountability in your life as a man.
Everything.
For everything. It's all your fault. There's nobody else's fault. It's your fault. And I'm
Now, he just said, you know, you've got competition as a man. All of us out here to destroy you. Now, that's very honest, actually, because he is. And he doesn't tell you straight up how he's going to do that. We're going to get into that in a minute. But when he's talking about being the best man that you can be, what he's saying is a man like him. A man who knows how to manipulate both men and women out of their money, out of their power, or whatever money they have, out of their nice car so that he has a nice car. That's his role. That's his job. That's what he has chosen to live his life for. He has not chosen to take care of a family. He has not chosen to raise kids. He has not chosen to be a good father. He has not chosen to be a good man. The version of masculinity he's pushing is not the secular world's response to this, which is, oh, he's ultra misogynistic. No, he's a bad man. He's a bad man. He's a misogynist, sure. He doesn't like women, but it's not just that he doesn't like women. It's just not just that he thinks poorly about women. He thinks poorly about a lot of people, both men and women. It's not as simple as just, well, he's an oppressor of women. That's a false way of thinking about it. It's far worse than that. It's far more complicated than that. And so what he means when he's giving you these motivational speeches, he's saying, become a man like me. That's what he's saying. So content matters. What is his definition writing behind all that he's saying? It's becoming a man that's capable of manipulation. And Jordan Peterson, okay, to contrast this with Jordan Peterson, just to give you an example, Jordan Peterson would say, be capable of hostility. Be capable of violence, because only then can you be self-controlled, and only then can you truly be merciful. It's only you can't be gracious if you don't have something to give. You can't be merciful if you don't have the ability and a reason for not being merciful. That's Jordan Peterson's message. So you should be capable of that, but you shouldn't act on it. You should be capable of aggression. You should be a man that's capable of defense, of holding your own. Andrew Tate's way of talking about this is you need to be as aggressive, as hostile, as flamboyant as possible, otherwise the other guy's going to eat you. That's his mentality. Jordan Peterson's mentality is far more scripturally accurate than Tate's view. And both of them are without God and without hope in the world. That's the truth. Both of them are not Christians. But I would say there's far more that's defensible in Jordan Peterson's message than there is in Andrew Tate's. I don't understand, why would you listen to Andrew Tate when you could listen to Jordan Peterson? And again, I think Andrew Tate filled a void that Jordan Peterson left when he had a lot of medical issues. He was basically out for a year. And so young men in particular, sought another message, and behold, Andrew Tate was there filling the gap with a far more aggressive message. And again, the more deeply we go into depravity, the more deeply we're going to go into the polarized. Both ends of the spectrum are going to be polarized. If you say that if you start tearing apart the nuclear family, if you start saying that men automatically oppress women and women are always oppressed by men, you're going to get the other response from the other side, which is, you know what, to heck with this, men say, we're not going to be oppressed by you, we're not going to be manipulated by you, and we're going to become the very things that you're so paranoid of, that we weren't really 50 years ago, but now we're gonna start acting like, and that's the world's way of doing things, always has been. The world without Christ will only descend into chaos, and for every kind of delving into depravity on the left, you'll have a delving into the depravity on the right. You're going to have responses on both sides of the culture. And Christians need to be aware that we need to be uniquely and distinctly Christian, and we need to be not tossed to and fro. We need to stand solidly. Okay, continue to play.
I was literally sitting in jail with a bullshit garbage case, which I know is all imaginary, saying this is my fault somehow. You have to find out, otherwise you don't get the lesson in it. The guy who had the 2.4 million gambled, or the guy who lost 115 grand, that's your fault. Yep. Good. What have you learned from it? Have you actually learned anything, or are you just sitting there going, I wish I had it back? Because if you didn't learn anything, you lost it all for nothing, right? Yep. And if you did genuinely learn something, then you're going to change your life for it, because I don't think most people can learn anything unless it's painful. I've never seen people learn lessons the easy way. When someone learns a lesson the easy way, you know what they think? They think, I got away with it. Yep. Over and over again until it eventually burns and stings them. And that's the only time they learn. Humans only learn the hard way. So when you finally get a hard lesson, fantastic. However you lost that 115 grand, I guarantee it won't happen again unless you're a dummy. You need to pay attention to it. So you need to be happy that these lessons come. You just have to make sure you ingest them and you don't allow them to happen to you again.
Okay, so let's think about that for a minute. Hebrews 13. For example, just thinking on my own here. Again, no notes for this video, so it's probably a bit jumbled. But anyway, Hebrews 13. No child, if he's a legitimate child, is left without discipline. That's biblical. You have not resisted sin to the point of death. Again, Hebrews 13. The Bible emphasizes that there will be hardship, and you are called, Hebrews 12. You're called to follow Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith. He sets the example. We follow. Suffering is going to happen. God's going to make us more Christ-like. Discipline will come. With a sovereign God, nothing in life is incidental. It's all meant to teach you something. Now, Andrew Tate has said, oh, it's meant to teach you something. There's no author of the story, though. You know, life is meant to teach you something. When you fail, it's supposed to teach you something. You got to learn from it. Well, that's true. There's no author of the story, though. There's no gracious God that's directing you. There's no gracious God that's watching over you. There's no gracious God that adopts you as a child. That's a very different way of approaching it. Furthermore, what are the lessons making you into, according to Andrew Tate? According to Andrew Tate, the lessons that you're supposed to be learning are to make you more into, I would just say, a monster, an immoral monster. And I think that's what Andrew Tate is. And we've come to the end of this video, and I'm gonna go after some more of Crabman's Tate Brothers thread. That we talked about the first one last video. I'm gonna go into the second one and kind of double down on my original position from the last video with this kind of context added. Let me just make sure there's nothing else in this. Yeah, so there's another video is tacked on, but I just wanted to go those 5 minutes, 39 seconds. So yeah, let's talk about Crabman's second thread. Again, banned from Twitter, moved on to Substack. He recaps the last one. Again, he's biased against Andrew Tate. You can understand why, due to everything that he's talked about. I'm not going to talk about a lot of what is in these threads. You can look it up for yourself if you want to. Again, that's because I'm not sure exactly how he got the text messages, and there's a lot of images that nobody needs to see in that. That said, though, let's just jump into a few videos and we'll comment on them, because I think this shows you, if this is the motivational speech, you're not good enough, become better, become more like Andrew Tate, become more successful according to his definition, which is billfold, bedroom, ballpark. this is the outcome of that. This is what he means. And he's not recanted this. He's not said, ooh, yeah, no, I didn't do that right. And that was awful. And he hasn't done any of that. Said he's gone the way of Islam. He's doubled down on it. Hasn't apologized. Hasn't come out and said that was immoral and wrong, and hasn't come to Christ and repented. Nothing even close to that. Well, there's Candace Owens' interview that you can find on Twitter, and that's worth watching. And you can hear his case there, including Tucker Carlson. I think they mentioned it as well. But the Candace Owens ones, she directly kind of talks to him about that. But again, I don't think that's adequate, and you can watch that for yourself and understand why. But I have 3 videos, maybe 4, and we're just going to, again, this is where it gets intense. If you've been okay up to this point, this is when bad language and a lot of just awful content comes out. And this is the content behind the content. This is the content. This is the goal that he's saying behind the motivation. 50 seconds video for the first one. Let's watch it.
Truth is this, man. Before I had this webcam business, I fucked girls. I've got a PhD. I've always been the best. But I never really...
That PhD, that is a pimping hose degree. You pay $8,000 for it, and he will teach you $8,000 a year, and he'll teach you after, I don't know if it's the year or if it's 4 years. I don't remember. But he'll give you a quote-unquote degree, a PhD, about how to manipulate people like he does. It's called the War Room. So yeah, that's great.
I fucked girls. I've got a PhD. I've always been the best. But I wasn't militant with it. I'd get a girlfriend. I'd fuck here, there, but I didn't really care. But after I started this business and realized that the only way I can get girls to work for me is to fuck them first, I became militant. It became my job to fuck girls. I was fucking ruthless. Every day I'd send 20 Instagrams. Every day I was on a date. I was fucking 4 girls, 5 girls a week. Because that's how I built my business. I built my business off the back of my dick. That's how I built it. That's how I got rich. So I became militant with the pimping. And my bottom bitch understood it. And she understood that perfectly. So that is the recruitment structure, and that is extremely important.
I do not know how to describe how horrific that is. I mean, you talk about bad. That's bad. There are people that I lay blame to. Alfred Kinsey is one. I think he destroyed Western civilization. He was a guy in 1947, he came out with a book. 1952, he came out with a book. Was influential in the rise of Playboy magazine, with Hugh Hefner leading that up. Alfred Kinsey, I credit him as the father of the sexual revolution. He's a bad man. He did stuff to kids. It was horrific. Truly evil man. Andrew Tate, evil, not good. Further along as an offspring of the horror that was 1960s and on, where basically all Western civilization has been thrown in the gutter, it's been churned up, and yeah, it doesn't smell great, let me put it that way. And what you just heard him say is the kind of man that he wants to make you into. So yeah, you know, you can say to yourself, well, I have the dilemma of whether I choose Harry Styles and a dress, or whether I choose Andrew Tate. You know, you can be fooled into thinking that's the only choice. It's not the only choice. Things were not always like this. Things were not always this immoral, or always this bad. It was not. And someday I'll make some videos or an article on Alfred Kinsey, and I'll share that as well. But it wasn't always this way. You don't have to choose between those two. You can choose to go the way of Christ. You can choose to be a Christ-like man, which is to be strong enough to stand up in the middle of a boat with all your friends panicking and play the man. And you can't calm the storm, but you can still you have the Lord of the storm with you. So even though you can't calm the storm, you got him. You can play the man and rise up early in the morning. You can take the initiative. You can read to better yourself before you have a full day's work. You can have your communion with God up on the mountain like Jesus did. It's a figure of speech. It's not literally you have to go up on a mountain. It's just you take your time away to be with God. You have your communion with Him. You do your processing, your praying, your communion with Him. Then you go face life, and you go serve others well, and you go and stand in truth and love in a world that says we're going to tear you apart and you're going to have to stand on one side or the other, and you're going to reject God whether you're on the right ultimately or you're on the left. And we got to say no. I can affirm this, this, and that, and I can't affirm this, this, and that. But I'm a Christian. And this is my worldview. This is how I'm approaching things. This is my theology. I believe in the triune God. I believe that Scripture is the ultimate authority, and I don't have to have any other authority beyond Scripture. If Andrew Tate goes away tomorrow, I don't need his opinions. I really don't. I definitely don't need the left. And yeah, so I'm rambling now, but yeah, we don't need this. This is not the kind of men we should be, and the kind of women that he's talking about. Yeah, no. Okay, let's go with this one, and just play it. This is him saying how he swindles people that he quote unquote employs out of money.
Next, tax. Going back to tax quickly, we talk about the fault audit thing. Tax is also another important element for controlling your woman. You're not going to pay anybody tax because you're getting paid in Bitcoin, so you don't need to pay tax to anybody. But you need to tell your girl that you're paying the tax, because girls are lazy, and girls are stupid, and girls don't understand how taxes work.
Okay, those are lies. There's a lot in there that's just ridiculous. Again, are men generally... Jordan Peterson talks about this again, and he does a more measured response. He says, usually if you think about math on a spectrum, you'll get men at the very... let me use this example. A classroom of 100 people. 50 are men, 50 are women. Women are going to take up the averages. They're going to be in the middle, spread out. So they're going to be between 20% and 80% of the grades, right? That they're going to do well, and they're going to do decently, but they're not going to be like the top 1, 2 in the class, in math class, in general. Right? This isn't universal across the spectrum, but in general, this is the way that men and women just turn out. Men are generally going to be far more spread apart. They will be the worst in the class, and they will be the best in the class, and you'll have them spread out in between. You'll have them on the extremes. There are reasons for this that he talks about this. I believe that it's legitimate, and you can find biblical reasons and backing for it as well. The claim that women generally aren't good at math and they can't understand taxes is ridiculous. I really don't feel the need to kind of go through that. If you don't understand that, suffice to say, Jordan Peterson has a point. This is taking it to an extreme, and it's ridiculous. We'll leave it there.
So the girl's working with you, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, we've made this much money, but I'm going to pay the tax to make sure we don't get in trouble. She'll sit there and go, okay. Now that allows you to do two things.
Revelation 21:8.
One, it's another control element. If I work with him, my tax is not a problem. If I do it alone, I have to deal with taxes. Taxes are complicated. It's a control element. Secondly, it allows you to pay her a smaller percentage.
Yeah, that's true. It is a control element. Thank you for that admission, Andrew Tate.
So I used to pay my girls 30%. So for every $10,000 they made, I'd give them 3, and I'd keep 7. They thought they were on 50%. I said that the disparity is because of taxes. So you're on 50%, but we had to pay the tax first, and then it's 50-50. If they say, why is it 50-50? Because I'm the one on camera. You say, because I'm the one typing, I'm the one with the property you're working in, I'm the one paying the bills, the electricity, I'm the one who's, and the electricity and every other maintenance cost of this property. I'm the one who bought the equipment. I'm the one who knows what he's doing. I'm the one with the knowledge. I'm the da-da-da-da-da-da. Shut the fuck up. Go online. And they should be pretty happy with that if they respect you as a person overall. So really you're paying 30, you tell them you're paying 50. The difference is in the tax. That's where the disparity lies, taxes. If they don't believe you or they want to get fresh or whatever, print out some tax forms. I used to do this all the time. I used to print out some random tax forms and say, yeah, sign here and sign this. What is it? It's for the tax. You want to pay the tax or not? Okay. And they just sign away. I don't know what they're fucking signing. Let's throw them away afterwards. But they think something's happening. Something real's happening. Nothing's happening besides me getting rich, bitch.
What a liar. What a liar. What a sleazebag. My gosh. And yeah, this is the way he made his money. This is what he thinks a man should be able to do. To take advantage of everybody, to manipulate everybody, to use sex as a weapon. Yeah, not great stuff. I think most of my audience will say, yeah, biblically, just morally, that's wrong. Yeah, and that's what he says. And again, these videos are more for just informing you about how awful this guy is. Yeah, let's just move to the last video here, and we'll call it quits. It's 3 minutes 30 seconds. I don't know if I'm going to go through the whole thing, but we'll listen to the first two for sure.
And maybe this is a bit bad. Here's where the famoose would start. So it'd be good, like I had a lot of girls who worked for me, and the best was like the Ukrainians or the Russians. It was amazing. Because they'd get some guy, fall in love, they'd arrange the day to meet, all this shit, I need a visa. Okay, get a visa. I need money for a visa. Okay, how much is a visa? It's $900. No, but it's not $900 because I went to the embassy. They think I'm...
Oh my gosh, the other guy. Okay, dude, just...
I'm a risk, and I need a return flight there and back, and I need a hotel. I need to have spending money in my bank account. They won't let me come. Or how much you need? All right, 10 grand. Boom, it's 10 G's. Boom. Okay, thanks. Wow. Go to the embassy, take a picture outside the embassy, boom, come back. They rejected my visa. They said we have to wait 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, they'll give it to me. Okay, baby, boom. 2 more weeks of tips. Boom, 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 boom. Because now he thinks he's going to fuck, right? He thinks he get the girls. Now he's spending more than ever. 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. 2 weeks come. Some other problem. Whether it's visa, whatever. We make up some bullshit, right?
All these OnlyFans chicks can learn from you, man.
Oh, man,
no,
bro,
but you know, like a free...
People watch
free OnlyFans tutorial
yeah,
here
people would say, why did those girls work for you? Because the girls would work for me, and at 50%, because it was 50-50, would make millions per month.
Though it wasn't 50-50.
If they worked for themselves, they'd make fucking nothing. I was the best in the fucking game. What? Me, and I had a whole team of staff. Yeah, the girl would only work 6...
Okay, so the other guys are reacting. Oh, dude, whoa, wow, I can't believe you did that. That's legendary. Oh, you need to open this instructor for OnlyFans. You need to be an instructor for them. These people are not on your side. Anything that you think is conservative about these guys is no. I'm sorry, no. So, for example, the Whatever podcast. There's a podcast. There's this guy, Brian. He gets on women who do certain things online for money. And he interviews them. And he takes, quote unquote, well, he actually does take conservative positions, right? He says, well, what about this? What about that? What about the next thing? And he basically lambasts them. Well, you don't have any value because you've got a body count of this, you know, whatever it is. And body count is basically how many people you've slept with. And then the same thing, he'll say the opposite about men. He'll say, well, men can have whatever body count they want and it doesn't matter. Or some of the men that have been on there. And that's the attitude that they take to this. They do not care. They do not take the approach, right? So Andrew Tate will say, you know, the family's been disintegrated and it's not good. Is that true? Yes. What does he see as a solution for it? Well, he's not trying to solve it. He's trying to say that men need to get money, basking in the glory of the fall of the Western civilization. I'm about to say Western Empire, which it basically is now with the people that are in charge. He doesn't seek reform. He seeks self-advantage. These people are not on your side. You know, if you look at the left and you're like, oh, well, the left is awful. They're a bunch of immoral pigs. Well, these people that are quote-unquote on the right aren't much better. Should we cancel either side? No. Should we respond to them from a biblical way? Absolutely. We shouldn't digitally execute anybody. But we shouldn't say, oh yeah, well, I support Andrew Tate, or I support, heaven forbid anybody supports the leftist position. If you don't want to understand what I mean by the left position, I'm thinking, the baby murdering political party of the United States. Okay, those kinds of policies. Let's have our kids transition when they're 5. Joe Biden did a town hall before he was elected, and he said, yeah, I would advocate for the transitioning of a young girl, a 5-year-old girl, and by that he meant mutilation. Okay, I hope I never have to get to the point where I make a podcast trying to convince Christians that that isn't morally right, although I'm sure there are many people I know who claim to be Christians who would be, oh, I'm going to vote for the left instead of for the Republican Party. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but I did, and I don't care at this point. We've gone far enough into the downfall of Western civilization where I think it's high time we start engaging with these things. And whatever you think, whether you think I'm right or wrong, well, reach out and we can chat. Let's keep playing though and see what else this interview has to offer us.
6 or 7 hours a day online.
So how did it end?
Bro, the story's just begun.
Oh.
You want me to tell you? I can shut up if you want.
Wait, you could have double dipped and started coaching to coach these guys too, right?
I could have, but fuck, I'll give it all for free because I'm rich already. But so the girl would be online for 6 or 7 hours, but then when she logged off, was sleeping or whatever, on her WhatsApp.
Well, he's got another gig. He's world famous. He probably doesn't need any other source of income than what he has now from doing things like this. Once you get to this level, you're basically invincible. And so the amount that people like Ben Shapiro and others make, that are even conservative commentators that aren't as wild as this guy, they make bank and they'll be fine. Even if they get canceled tomorrow and shut off of everything, they will still be able to make money in very successful ways because it's them that they're selling. It's not something that you can take from them. It's not like a property that they have. It's not like, they've got the Rumpelstiltskin's spinning wheel in the back making straw into gold. They're the ones that are doing that through podcasts and interviews and content. Anyway, that's a side note.
I'd have staff. She was online 24 hours a day. Her WhatsApp, her this. She was famoosing when she was asleep. We were bringing in money from the fucking sky. We were promising all these meetings, all these pictures outside of embassies, all this shit. Eventually...
And this is sick. This is sick. If you think that Andrew Tate is against, immoral women, and he's for you, he's for the men, against the woke left that's trying to destroy masculinity in men worldwide. He's not. And I'm not denying that there's the Marxist cultural Marxist left, the critical theorists are trying to destroy men across the world. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I think they are. But I'm saying Andrew Tate isn't the solution to that. He's not even anywhere close.
The girl, what she would do is she'd say, oh, I don't want to go embassy. She'd give a really lame excuse to try and provoke the man to get angry. So she'd say, the embassy want me to come back, but I have a headache. That was the one we'd use. He'd be like, I just sent you $1 million. You promised you were going to come. You said you had to delay. Now you're saying you have a fucking headache and you won't go to your appointment. To make him mad on purpose, because that would annoy any man. And then, that's what we needed. We needed a little trigger. And we go, why are you being aggressive? I'm not being aggressive, but you're not serious, da-da-da. And then we'd say, but you know what? I really like you, and I'm flying to the other side of the world by myself, and now you're being aggressive, and now I'm intimidated. And we'd flip it on him, saying, well, now you're being scary. No, I'm not being scary, but you know, it's your appointment. You're supposed to go, yeah, but I feel sick, and you don't even care. Female bullshit. Female bullshit. And flip it on him. Flip it on him. And he'd get fucking furious, because we were really good at
playing
fucking...
both sides.
Poking him to the point where you go like, you're a fucking scammer, you fucking scam me, get really mad. I can't believe you think I was a scammer. I was gonna come, I went to the embassy, you're a fucking liar. Every man in my life has only lied to me. I thought you were different. Da-da-da. Big beef, big argument. Yep. Big argument. But here's the thing. The guy would get pissed off, right, and leave, stop tipping her, stop coming to her. But for these men, that's the only chick in the world, the only hot chick in the world who talks to him. Maybe it takes a week. Maybe it takes 2 weeks. Maybe it takes 3 weeks. He's in bed at night, alone, jerking off, looking at her old videos and pictures, watching her stream again from another account so she can't see it's him, sitting there going, maybe she was going to come. Maybe I just got too mad when she had a headache. Maybe I should have been a little bit more patient and she would have been my girlfriend. And 100% of the time, in less than 3 months, with an apology, a brand new pile of money, and the cycle would repeat. We fucking killed the game. Millions of dollars a week. And it was not just because I had beautiful girls. It's not because webcam is easy. It's because I am a genius. And I put together an apparatus of genius behind the avatar of beauty. And we fucking conquered the internet.
Okay, that's his self-description. I don't know what to say after that. It's like how... Again, that's the kind of man he wants to make you into. That's the kind of man that he says is good. Okay, so his response to the crazy culture that says men can be women is to say the man that you need to be is the most awful person you can imagine. Like, the people that your grandparents, if you got good grandparents, would be utterly repulsed by. Just the worst of the worst. It's not a Christian response whatsoever. Jordan Peterson and others have a response that says at least be more like a man the way the Bible says you should be. Andrew Tate, not even close. There are things that that Jordan Peterson says and others say. It's like, oh yeah. Even James Lindsay, atheist. I think I saw a while back that he made a post that he's agnostic, but I'll let that aside. Even James Lindsay, he's like, you want to be a man. He's married. He's intelligent. He's a guy that I would want to be around, right? I'm not smart enough to be around him, but I want to be around him. A good guy, all things considered. In terms of, he's more in line with what the Bible says a man should be than Andrew Tate even comes close to. Douglas Murray, gay conservative commentator, far more closer to what you would want in a biblical, far more closer to the biblical model of a man than Andrew Tate. Jordan Peterson, again, even closer. The kind of image that they're advocating for. They're looking at the Bible. They're looking at the traditions of Western civilization and saying, okay, that's the kind of man that you should be. That's the message they're pushing. Andrew Tate, what is the message he's pushing? Manipulate, steal, do whatever you can, eat the other guys, and come out on top. Don't care about morality. Don't care about emotions. Don't care about the people that you're dealing with. Just win. Not a good message. I can come around to a lot of things. I can come around to Christians listening to a lot of different commentators. Andrew Tate, I have no idea why you would want to. I really don't. Some of the things that he says, yeah, they're true. Some of the points that he brings up, yeah, sure, they're accurate. Like the stats that he's citing or whatever. Yeah, some of them are true. Other times he doesn't know anything that he's talking about, and he'll convince those he's talking to or you that he does because he's just so flamboyant, so extravagant, so aggressive, and he doesn't let any criticism get past him. And that's part of his charisma. That's part of his rhetorical style. If he shows weakness, then he'll lose what he has. He'll lose the magic. He'll lose the ability to make gold into straw into gold. Yeah. So I think I've reached the end of my capacity to really engage with this anymore. I hope I've made my point over these, like, it's been three hours now in these videos, maybe 2.5. But I hope I've made my point. Sorry about the low quality of the content and of the recording. I don't have a studio. I don't have a mic that works, and I know I'm picking up a lot of surround sound, but I can't really help that. So I hope it was of benefit to you or to others that you know. Again, my intention was to just inform and to kind of give a perspective, give several different kinds of perspective on Andrew Tate and on the Tate brothers and everything surrounding them. I hope I've done that. Yeah, I pray the best for you, and I hope these videos will help you and others. All right, God bless. Bye.